What's up, YouTube? Capital G here. Got some lovely ninja action for you guys to check out, including an incredibly potent but highly situational lock that you can pull off with the ninjas that basically make it so your opponent can't do anything. They can't activate spell cards, they can't activate traps in most situations, they can't set any monsters on the field, they can't activate monster effects, and their monsters cannot attack. So, with your opponent having limitations on all of those things, how exactly do they win? You're probably wondering. Well, they don't win. They just sit there and basically die as you kill them very, very slowly. So a lot of this actually has to do with Darts of Morg. Some of you guys might remember this card. It's really kind of old school. The reason why it doesn't see any play now is the summoning conditions are kind of weird. You have to banish a dark and a wind monster, and a lot of archetypes are, like one attribute. You don't really have a lot of archetypes that are built based on like wind and dark. They're just kind of random, but ninjas are actually one of those decks that have that. And with the release of Yellow Ninja, who just, randomly happens to be a wind attribute, that allows you to special summon Hanzo, and you can instantly have access to a wind and a dark monster in your graveyard. So I think, you know what, I can commentate while Mayakashi's going first. He's Mayakashi at the top, and I did say, this deck can easily go into some very high-level synchros, and really all you need is just Hajun, which he is going to summon right now. He searched for it, and, basically, boom, just one normal summon. He has the level 3 on board, and he's not going to stop until he gets to level 11, but I believe he's actually going to go for the Link monster. He's going to use another monster to go back into his synchro engine, which I never actually thought about. So he goes for the Link monster, summons Daki, and that was kind of cool. I really never thought about playing that in Mayakashi. He actually summons Jester Confit, and Jester Confit is a monster that you can only control one of, but the good thing about Mayakashi is all their synchros are completely generic. So when Daki comes back, as it always will, you basically have a level 1 non-tuner on the field to go back into your level 3 Mayakashi monster, and once you do that, then you basically just climb right back up the ladder to level 11. So you end up with a pretty decent field. 3 monsters, big beat stick, a Link monster that has a little bit of protection on it. I still think Mayakashi needs some type of good defensive trap card because this would be a very easy field to establish. He only needed to commit 2 monsters. Imagine right now if he had like an Icarus attack, which I say the deck needs, he'd be able to do some work here. So let's see exactly what ninjas are going to do. He's probably going to Rhoda for the Yellow Ninja, and then he summons the Grandmaster, or he summons Hanzo. Hanzo is actually going to get him another Surge. He goes for the Ninja Link monster, the Sanzo, and since he did have the the dark attribute Hanzo, and then he had the wind attribute Yellow Ninja in the graveyard, he can summon Darts of Morg, and it's not just Darts of Morg that allows you to kind of get this lock. You have to have other cards to go with it, but you guys will see one of those cards right here, Anti-Spell Fragrance. So this used to be like a really old combo, right? If you have Darts of Morg on the field and you flip over Anti-Spell Fragrance, your opponent cannot activate spell cards at all, basically, unless they've already been set on the field, because Anti-Spell Fragrance makes your opponent set their spells before they activate them. Actually, it makes both players do that, but that's really not that relevant in this situation. So since his opponent can never set any spells, then he can't activate cards. Now he did kind of whiff there. He should have activated the Anti-Spell Fragrance during the draw phase, but I think it's perfectly fine. He'll be able to work through that. But yeah, he should have done it in draw or standby phase. He kind of waited, and that was a little bit of a mistake, but it's all right. Now his opponent does try to go battle phase, and what he was trying to do here, he was probably trying to have the level 11 3300 Mayakashi run into the Darts of Morg, because if your Darts of Morg dies in battle, then the lock is basically like it's resting pepperonis. The lock is broken. But what he activated was his ninjutsu art of Shadow Sailing. What this card allows you to do is tribute a ninja and then banish one monster your opponent has, and that monster does not come back as long as this card's on the field. So as long as you can protect this, they're not getting their monster back, and he's obviously going to do a pretty good job of doing that. So I believe he's going to go for the Ninja Link again, and then in the following turn he'll basically just set up the lock, and it'll be pretty much GG no re. He can't activate any spells immediately either, because he does have to wait for the Anti-Spell Fragrance, but Darts of Morg makes it only so that your opponent can't set any cards on their side of the field. You can still set cards, and that includes monsters as well, as I said earlier. So his opponent is a little bit limited right here, and actually I like this. He has a Scrap Iron Scarecrow, I guess, in case his opponent is trying to attack the Darts of Morg. You can basically try to delay him. Mathematician is basically going to set up the second part of this lock. It's actually so random and so weird. It's kind of disgusting. So what he does is he sends this card right here This is Perform a Pow 5 Arc Magician to the graveyard, and this is a weird pendulum monster because it's a card that it's a card that allows you to activate it from the graveyard as long as you meet the condition, as long as you set a card on your side of the field, which he's going to do with the ninjutsu or with his Ninja Link monster. So once he sets that, then the pendulum card is going to activate. It puts itself in the scale, and now what happens is, since his opponent does not have any set cards on his field, the first effect basically applies to him. Let's see if I can read the entire effect. It says each player applies one of these effects based on the number of set cards in their spell and trap zone. Since he has no cards set in his spell and trap zone, and since he cannot set because of Dart Samorg, he has this effect applied to him. All monsters they control cannot attack or activate their effects. So this is basically the established lock. At this point, your opponent can't really do anything. They can't set any trap cards on the field to activate them. They cannot activate any spell cards because of Anti-Spell Fragrance and Dart Samorg. They can't attack with any of their monsters, and they can't activate effects because of Perform a Pow 5 Arc Magician. So at this point, it's just like, I don't really know what exactly you're supposed to do. You can keep summoning monsters, but the problem is your monsters are going to be in attack mode. You can't like set any monsters defensively to try and like stall out your opponent. If you had a monster, maybe like Spirit Reaper or Marshmelon, that couldn't be destroyed by battle, maybe you try to stall the game out, which his opponent is going to just summon, put monsters in defense mode, but eventually he will basically like run out of cards on the field, or he'll run out of monsters even though he is climbing down the ladder. So Mayakashi is actually a little resistant to this because as these Mayakashi Synchro monsters die, he gets more monsters out. But look at the cards in his hand, like Monster Reborn, and he has, you know, the new zombie spell. This is the Snatch Steel. He has Pot of Acquisition. He can't activate any of the cards. So basically it's only a matter of time until this guy's like, all right, you know what, screw this, I'm gonna link into something powerful like Borosword Dragon, and I'm ending this duel. Forget all this Castel garbage. You basically just have to keep the Dart Smog. Like, don't get rid of that monster. Don't link away with that, because then your opponent could start setting cards again. But outside of that, you basically are just going to instantly, like, there's not, well, I don't want to say instantly, but you're basically just going to win. And, you know, it's only a matter of time until you get a bunch of monsters on the field and it's lights out for your opponent. So that is the end of the duel, and as weird as this deck is, I'm pretty sure that a lot of people are going to want to know what exactly it looks like. Heck, I haven't even looked at the deck fully. I'm a little interested to see what the deck, like, I completely saw the whole Dart Samorg part coming because I was like, oh yeah, I guess ninjas do have, you know, some dark attribute monsters, and now that you have the yellow ninja, you know, you gotta win one. That kind of makes sense. You can drop that and Hanzo in the same turn, but I definitely didn't see this guy coming out. Like, I didn't see Perform a Pow 5 Arc Magician being a thing in this deck, but if you get Dart Samorg out early enough, it does kind of make sense. You can basically just add more locks on your opponent, and the only trap cards that I can think of are, like, you know, Evenly Match and maybe Evenly Match and Impermanence to, I guess, maybe negate like the Dart Samorg. Those are basically the only trap cards that I can think of that you could really activate. So this is what the deck looks like on paper, and there was actually one thing that I forgot that makes Dart Samorg so much better in this deck than what a lot of people might initially realize. Some of you guys see that there's only one copy of Dart Samorg, and you're like, wow, that, you know, sure was lucky that the dude happened to open with that one copy of Dart Samorg. Otherwise, maybe he doesn't end up getting that lock. The thing about Dart Samorg is the ability to special summon it from the hand by banishing a wind and a dark monster is not the only way to actually drop this card. This is not a Nambi monster. It's not a monster that has to first be special summoned by, you know, some type of weird way, as it kind of summons itself like a chaos monster. You can actually just normal summon this dude, or in ninjas, you can actually special summon it straight from the deck by tributing a ninja. All you have to do is get your ninja art of transformation, which obviously the ninja link lets you just set on the field immediately, and then you just launch one of your ninjas. Well, you won't be able to do it with that monster specifically, but what this card allows you to do, it allows you to tribute any level 4 ninja, and then it allows you to summon Dart Samorg since it's a winged beast monster. That's level 7 straight from your deck. I said in my ninja video a while ago, people used to do this with Apex Avian. That was pretty decent as well, because Apex Avian was like a huge beat stick and it could negate something. But with Dart Samorg, if you have anti-spell in the fragrance, like, look out, because your opponent's not going to be activating any spell cards. They're not going to be able to set any traps on the field unless, you know, well, really, it just cuts them off from using those. So unless they have Impermanence or Evenly Match, like, they're not going to be able to really do anything. And even if you don't get the full lock, if you don't get them in a situation where they have no card set on the field, and then you have the 5 Arc Magician where they just, you know, can't activate their monster effects and they can't can't really attack with any monsters, you still have a pretty good lock at that point, as long as you keep your Dark Simorgh basically protected. And he does run things like Threatening Roar and Swift Scarecrow. I would probably take out Threatening Roar just because I personally don't believe in it as a card. I just feel like Swift Iron or Scrap Iron Scarecrow might actually just be better, or maybe you could even run, I don't know, something like Phoenix Chain in this deck that might actually work a little bit better. Now, one of the other ninjas that I actually realized was really good, and it does give you a lot of offense, especially in this deck where you're trying to get to the Ninja Link monster as quickly as possible, is this guy right here, the Twilight Ninja Gengetsu, or Getsuga the Shogun. What this card allows you to do is, if you have 2 ninja monsters in your graveyard except another copy of this guy, you can shift him to defense mode, and then you get to special summon both of those ninja monsters. It's a hard once per turn effect, but it's actually really, really good. And another thing that's cool about ninjas is, even though Yellow Ninja, when you use his special summon effect, it doesn't allow you to special summon any monsters except ninja monsters for the rest of the turn. You know, ninjas have a link monster, but if you're ever trying to go for game and you just need a bunch of raw damage, there is the option to go for the old school Blade Armor Ninja. Some of you guys from Zexal might remember this card. This card can still do what, like 4,400 damage by itself. Actually, I believe it, let me see. Yeah, it allows one ninja that you control to attack twice, so it doesn't have to actually be itself. Now, usually people will do it with the ninja itself, but I don't know, maybe you have another ninja on the field that you'd rather have attack instead of that guy. So just a nice little fun deck to mess around with, and if you pulled off that combo, it's basically curtains for your opponent.